Hello, people who watch my um who watch my YouTube channel, which is like no one. By the way, my dog is like right here, which is why I did that. Anyway, so today is going to be the start of a new thing that I'm going to be doing, which is theories about Steven Universe, which is a show on Cartoon Network that airs sometimes. Well, not sometimes. There's new episodes. The Summer of Steven just ended, and there's like a whole bunch of new stuff. But what I wanted to talk about today is that everyone knows the theory. Like, if you know Steven Universe, you probably heard theory videos, and kind of a theory that is gone around a lot is that Steven may have Rose's gem, but the Rose's gem projection is Lion, and that Lion is actually Rose. So, what's kind of proved that theory is that inside of Lion is the T-shirt Greg gave her, the flag, the sword. Bismuth was bubbled inside of there, inside of a rose quartz bubble. So, but my theory is that gems, all gems have storage like that. Hence why, how Pearl pulls her spear out and Garnet's gauntlets come out onto her hands. What I imagine is that inside of each gem is a storage. Hence why it says when they retreat into their gem form, into their gem, which means inside of the gem they must have storage and stuff, kind of like their rooms. But Rose's room is different from everyone else's room, which has nothing to do with any of this. But the each of them summon their weapon from the gem. Amethyst pulls it out of her gem, Pearl pulls it out of her gem, and Garnet creates hers on her fists. So I'm imagining is that since the projection is just the projection, that's being used as the storage. But one of that's what Rose keeps inside of her gem, which is what is very, very important to her. Because here's my question. Is that if what I'm saying is true, what might come, two things come up in that flawed theory that rose quartz is Lion. Is that, number one, Lion can make teleporty things and jump through them. We don't know if Rose had this power, but Steven doesn't have it, and the Lion has the power, and they kind of use Lion for it. So I don't think Steven's going to ever discover that power if he has that power. But another thing is, how did Bismuth get inside of Lion? Because if it's Rose's stuff in there, that supports the theory that that is the projection of Rose, and that it's used, that's the gem's inner storage, because Steven can't retreat into the gem. So I'm imagining is, if Steven dies and the gem separates, it'll turn back into Rose. So if Steven dies, Rose will exist again. The Lion will cease to exist, and then that will become its form again. Because Lion is pretty big. It has big hair and stuff like that, like Rose did, and they are around the same body mass stuff, because Rose just wore a giant dress thing that covered her entire body. And so I think that Lion is Rose, and each gem can store stuff with inside of their gem, which is what Rose Quartz did, which is why she has all of her valuable stuff in there that she doesn't want people to touch, because it's very special to her. Or, in another case, Bismuth. But something else had to happen with Bismuth, because why, if she just came up with the breaking point, wouldn't Rose just be like, no, and then if they fought, she wouldn't bubble her and then put her into Lion, which seems where she keeps all of her very, very special stuff, or where she would keep something that they don't want out ever. Because they have a room where they keep bubbled gems. Why wouldn't they just put bismuth there? Because it seems like they've been collecting them for a long time, considering how many there is in there. But there's a lot of gems in there, and they're kind of just aesthetic. They're not going to be used for anything, I don't think. Unless someone pops one of them randomly. Wait. Was Paradite ever poofed? Yes, she was, wasn't she? Because he landed on it and unpoofed her. Anyway, back on topic. I think that each gem has their own... Whittles, go over there. I think each gem has their own personal storage within their gem. It's just Rose's gem can't use its storage, which is... Or maybe it's just for Rose. Because this is kind of like the other theory that I have, is that maybe Rose just works like that. Because Pearl pulls her spear out of her forehead, Amethyst pulls her whip out of there, Garnet summons her gauntlets, like, that are because her gems are on her hands, and Jasper has hers as her nose, which summons her helmet, but Rose's is on her stomach. And the only time we've ever seen the shield come out of the stomach was whenever she was Steven. Also, we've never seen Rose Quartz summon the shield wall. We've never seen her do it herself. Steven's done it, but the only time we've ever seen it come out of the gem was in, like, I think that was the very, very first episode of Steven Universe. And also, I think that Rose Quartz never did summon the shield. And here's my thinking. I know we've seen the flashback and stuff, but I think that was something that Bismuth made for her. Because here's my thinking. Why were they so excited? Why were they like, oh, it's a shield? Why would they act like that? Why wouldn't they be like, oh, he has her gem, he'll probably have her weapon. Oh. Not good. I mean, it'll be fine, probably. Anyway, so it might be just a Rose Quartz thing, because her weapon doesn't come out of her gem. The only time we've ever seen that was with Steven, and it can't be used from that position. But he usually, from now on, it just summons on his arm, which isn't where his gem is. Also, Willow, stop moving. You're gonna rip your stitches. Okay. So, I also think that I don't understand her deal with sitting in front of the camera. She just wants all of the attention. Anyway, so basically, yeah, it might just be a Rose Quartz thing, because she is the only one that seems to have been able to have a child and have a connection with humans, because we've seen that from Pearl that she's done this before. She's met other humans and she's talked to them and tried to do a bunch of different stuff, but Steven, let me in a different tangent. Anyway, Rose is different from the other gems because their gem placement corresponds to what their weapon is. Because they pull it out of their gem, where their gem placement is literally where the weapon is. But Rose isn't like that. Hers is on her chest, and it's her belly button, and she summons it on her arm, or well, Stephen does. We've never seen her actually summon it. We've seen her holding something that could be it, but might not be. But Stephen has summoned it on his arm every single time, besides the very first time he summoned his weapon. And I think that was just like a thing, like it was just like a fluke. Well, not a fluke, but they put that there because they knew what they wanted his weapon to be, but they didn't like want him to like, because if you summon it on your arm, you're like gonna use it for battle or something like that. But if it pops out of his belly button, it's like less dangerous, and then he like shoots it off and it bangs around the room. Willow, stop moving. Anyway, so I think that Steven Universe, that the gems have storages within their gems. Or it might just be rose quartz, because her room is different than everyone else. Her gem placement doesn't correspond with her weapon, like where it's used, at least that we know of. And I mean, yeah. And like one more thing that I'm gonna put in that I'm gonna say right now at the end of this video, which is because this is getting towards the end. But I think that fusions can only combine 2 weapons. I'm thinking it's 2 to 3 weapons, because Ruby and Sapphire combined her like wrist thingy and then like brass knuckle things together to make gauntlets. And as we've seen with Alexandrite, whenever they fuse into that, they don't combine all of their weapons. They don't do that. They use the bow, the hammer, or the giant flail thing. They don't use different things. They only use those. Because that's what they do. They've used those. That's it. They don't combine them. And then they also get fire breath, which I think kind of corresponds to kind of the fact that they can't combine the weapons, basically. I think that if it's 2 or more, maybe they just can't. No, I think it's 2 gems. If 2 gems fuse, they can combine their weapons. But if it's 3, if it's 2, if it's 3 or more, it won't work. And I know you were like, Sugalite, blah, 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 blah. But, hear me out. Her weapon is the most basic. Opal's bow changes completely different colors. What is that? Sardonyx's hammer is completely different colors. And that's about it. But, what is, Garnet and Amethyst, whenever they fuse, the gauntlets are just bigger because Sugalite has larger arms. And so they're just created and then hooked together, and then, I mean, it's all the same color. Nothing changes. And I know Opal's bow matches her color, and Sardonyx's hammer matches her colors, but I don't think their weapons actually fused. More or less, they were forced. Kind of like, because they become a completely different weapon. Gauntlets plus spear equals hammer. Completely different weapon. But a flail that is basically 2 gauntlets mashed together holding hands and then being thrown around by a whip is not necessarily anything. But I'm going to wrap this video up because it's gone on for 13 minutes and I've talked for a while. And I mean, if no one watches these, it's just a way for me to say my theories and stuff. Because I've like been saying them without a video, which is kind of weird, but anyway. So that is my first Steven Universe video theory stuff. But I mean, it might be like a journal thing. I'm not going to call it a journal, but it might be a journal for me if no one watches these, because they're probably not going to. Anyway, we've hit the 14-minute mark, which isn't really a mark. I don't know why people say that. Anyway, it is time to end the video. So, goodbye, people of the YouTubes. This is Willow. Goodbye. I don't want to do that. Anyway, goodbye, people of the YouTube community area place. I don't know. No one's gonna watch these, so there's like, I have a point in making them. Anyway, I'm gonna end this episode because I ramble on a lot. Anyway, goodbye to anybody who watches this, and if no one watches this, then goodbye still, I guess. Goodbye to no one, or goodbye to someone. I don't know, I might watch these over to see how I sound and stuff. But anyway,